Alrighty, for the first time ever, we have reached week one, round one of the college football playoff. And we got some matchups here that I think are elite level games. Two of them in particular, if you look at the brand names on the teams, really good. One of them for sure, maybe two of them that I'm looking at it and it just looks like incredible games for round one. That Ohio State-Tennessee game is as big as it can get for a first-round game in December. But I want to go through all these games. I put together picks, score predictions as well, and I like what I picked for these. I honestly think that is a bit more predictable. I think there's some gimmies in here, but I think there's one game in particular that is kind of a go either way game for me right now. But with that, we're going to start with the Indiana Hoosiers versus Notre Dame. And this game will be played in Notre Dame. Obviously, both teams from the state of Indiana, so it's not going to be that far of a travel for the Hoosiers. If you look at how they stacked up in the season, Notre Dame had that one really bad loss to Northern Illinois, and then obviously Indiana got boat raced by Ohio State at the shoe in a game where they were just outmatched. And if you're really looking at this, I think that in a lot of ways it's going to be a lot closer than initially what people think. I think Indiana, Kirk Cignetti has done a great job with that program, turning it around, getting them to this point. But the facts are the facts. Their best win this year is against a Michigan team that's not that good, and they really haven't played anybody outside of Ohio State. Nobody in the rankings. They had a very easy schedule. You could say similar things about Notre Dame. They don't have the most quality of wins, but they've gotten the job done against some pretty solid teams, and you got to give them that credit. I think it's a closer game than people think. The spread right now is sitting at Notre Dame minus 7.5. I think Indiana covers their side of the spread, but I have Notre Dame winning 24-20. I just think you factor in the atmosphere at Notre Dame. I think Riley Leonard is able to catapult them in this game, and I think Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame find a way to get this one done, 24-20 to move on to the next round. That game will be played on Friday, December 20th. Now moving on to the Saturday window of games, you have at the 12 o'clock window, Penn State and SMU. And I voiced my concerns about SMU when the college football playoff bracket came out. I said, I don't know if SMU deserved to be in here just because of their conference. If you look at their schedule, they've put their strength of schedule pretty high. I don't think that they've played that quality of opponents. But if you look at the same side, Penn State hasn't really went up against anybody really either other than Ohio State. They struggled with USC way back in that game. And, I like a lot about some of the things Penn State does. I don't think that they played terrible in the Big Ten championship game against Oregon. But if you look at it, James Franklin's record speaks for itself. He's like I think he's 1-15 in games against the top five, but that's why I'll take Penn State to win this 27-20 because this SMU team is far from the top five. It's a team at the very end of the playoff. I thought the Penn State got a bit more of a ranking, but in this particular game, they're going to be at home in Happy Valley. There's no way that SMU is going to walk in there. This is one of the most sure bets in the first round, if not the surest. SMU's not going to walk into Happy Valley at noon and beat them. I think that Penn State has a large lead in this game, and I think SMU crawls their way back towards the end. But Penn State will win this game. If I had to put confidence points on it, this is the strongest that I would feel. Penn State 27-20. Next at the 4 o'clock window, you'd have Clemson versus Texas, and Texas obviously coming off a tough loss in the SEC championship game. But I think they got a favorable matchup here. And if you're looking at it, Clemson, I think Klubnik has had his moments this year, and I think that team in general has had their moments this year. But Texas is a really talented roster. Sarkisian, in my opinion, is one of the better coaches in college football. And you got to factor where they're playing this game. They're playing this game in Texas at their stadium. I I don't like many people's odds when they have to go to that stadium in Texas. They got a shot to run the table. I think they get the biggest win of the first round. Maybe Penn State could do it, but I think in my predictions that Texas gets the biggest win in the first round of the playoff against this Clemson team that looked very shaky in their loss to Georgia. I know it was week 1, but they looked very shaky in that game. Give me Texas 34-14. I think they just get that win through their talent, through their coaching, and through that environment that it's going to be at Longhorn Stadium. It's just going to be electric. They're going to get this one done. Texas's spread is -11. I think they cover it. Usually I wouldn't take their over on the spread, but if you're looking at the matchup here, I think it just makes sense. Clemson has not shown that they're quality enough of a team to pull off this upset or come close. We'll see, though, how it shakes up. But I have Texas winning this one 34-14. Then we go on to the showcase game of the first round, Ohio State versus Tennessee. I made another video with a full preview to this that I will link in this video. But this is a heavyweight matchup for a first round playoff game at the Shoe. I know people in Columbus are really buzzing about this game. It's going to be a raucous environment. You have to remember, Ohio State has not played a night game since that game against Oregon. They haven't played a night game at the Shoe since week 2. So they're going to be really, really hyped up in this stadium atmosphere for Ohio State. And if you look at it, Tennessee, their strengths are kind of this game favors Tennessee, I think, if you look at their strengths, but Ohio State is much more talented. The talent gap is very far. I think Ohio State will find a way to get the job done. I think Ryan Day gets what I think will be the second best win of his tenure at Ohio State so far, and he beats Tennessee 31-27. I think it's a really close game. They got to rely on Jeremiah. Jeremiah Smith has to have a good game. Will Howard can't throw that early interception that he's thrown before in the past. He needs to lock in. They need to contain the defensive line of Tennessee. Donovan Jackson needs to have a solid performance. I think he will. I think Donovan Jackson will be really good. I know Ohio State's defense will hold. Ohio State's defense has been debatably the best in the country. Caleb Downs, in my opinion, is the best defensive player in the country. This Ohio State team is too talented to not go to a bowl game this year. They will win, in my opinion, 31-27 at the Shoe and advance to the second round to meet Oregon. And that's what I got so far for this list. I'm excited. I'm going to go through this playoff, give my predictions, and I will be back after this week. But yeah, it's going to be really fun. Crack whatever you need to crack a drink and watch some of these games. It's going to be incredible.